In order to be successful, you have to find out what makes you excited, what makes you want to get up each morning and go to work. If you love what you do and dedicate yourself to your work, then you will gain momentum, and each success will create another success. Do you guys want to be successful or don't you care? Okay, you better believe it. So let's talk about it, okay? You gotta love what you do. Because if you love what you do, you work harder. But it's not work. I've seen people that are super genius, but they don't have that gut feeling. They don't have that stick-to-itiveness, that never quit. And I've seen people that almost made it and failed.
Ideally, love what you do in a good business, but you know what? If it's not necessarily that good, the loving is more important than having that good business. But I will tell you that the happy people are the people, number one, the people with great families, people that have great relationships with their wives or husband, very, very important toward success. I don't want to talk you out of things because we're talking about success. Most people think success is measured in the form of monetary success. It's not really. I think I've seen every type of person there is that God created, if you want to know the truth. And the people are the happiest are not necessarily the people who are the wealthiest. My father used to tell a story. He thought it was funny, but I actually thought it was more of a lesson. He viewed it as funny. And it was about a man who loved the cola business. So what happens is he loved the cola business, and he founded a company. It was called 3UP. But the company wasn't making it, didn't work, and he gave up, and it was just no good, and it went out of business. But he never wanted to quit. And he did another one. It was 4UP. And he did 5UP. And he did 6UP, and they would all fail. And my father would say, if he only came up, if he just worked a little bit harder, just one more, he would have had 7UP. And he would have been a tremendous success. And what I viewed it is not as comedy. I viewed it as never ever give up. Just never give up. You can't. And one quick one that we also talk about and that I talk about, there's a certain amount of luck. So I have a friend who's just an unlucky guy. Just an unlucky guy. He's smart. He went to the Wharton School of Finance. He's a brilliant guy, but he's always been unlucky. And you'll find when you become very successful, the people that you will like best are the people that are less successful than you. But this guy was totally injury prone. No matter what happened, totally injury prone. And he'd always be ill. I'd call his wife and she'd say, oh no, he's very sick. What's wrong with him? And he said, tell me something. I'd say, all right. So he had a broken shoulder, and now he's coming home. He's riding on the Long Island Expressway, and an 18-wheeler hits the signs that say to New York City, 10 miles, right? Knocks over a sign. Think of this. He didn't even get hit by the truck. He got hit by a sign. Well, just like that, there is a certain amount of luck. But the greatest story to me is Gary Player. Gary Player was a golfer, a great golfer, one of the great golfers of all time. He worked harder than any other golfer, but he was a small guy. But he hit it good, he hit it far, great golfer. Everybody's heard of Gary Player from South Africa. But Gary Player worked hard. And he was the first time, maybe I've heard it again, but he was the one, the harder I work, the luckier I get. That was Gary Player. He worked so hard. I remember that expression, the harder I work, the luckier I get. The harder he worked, he got stronger, longer. He practiced putting, he practiced chipping. The guy was unbelievable. He won 18 majors, senior and regular. He won like 175 tournaments worldwide, which I think is the record. But he was a hard worker. And I just think it's a great thing for all of the young people out here and the older people. Hey, I'm still working just as hard. I think I work hard. I think I'm working harder in the last 8 months than I've ever worked before in my life. Believe me. But I enjoy it. So just remember those few little things. Momentum, love what you do, always love what you do. Always. I have a friend who's a guy who was born to a very, very successful Wall Street baron. And the Wall Street baron is a vicious, ruthless, horrible human being, okay? You would not like him for dinner. You'd respect him, but you wouldn't like him. And the son was in the father's firm on Wall Street, and the firm is a massive firm. And he was unable to compete really with all the young guns in the firm. And what happened is the son is at a club. He's a member of a country club out in Westchester. And they were doing a major renovation of the clubhouse and the greens and the golf course, a big renovation. And they put him in charge. And he was fantastic. He was there at 6 in the morning and 5 in the morning, and he wouldn't leave till 9 in the evening. And the job came in under budget, ahead of schedule. His wife called me. She said, he's like a new man. He's so happy. He's doing this, and he's so happy.
How important is success? How important is money? And how important is money to success?
You have to love what you do. If you don't love what you do, you're not going to be successful.
How important do you think it is for this audience to have real estate as part of their portfolio?
I think real estate, Grant, is got to be part of a portfolio. Real estate, from the standpoint of tax benefits, has been great. But I love the real estate business. I love the creativity of real estate. And I think I always will. Even as president, I'd say, boy, that's a great site for a building.
My father was a worker, and he loved to work. He'd work on Saturdays, he'd work on Sundays. He just liked it. He'd go to church, but after church, he'd go and work. He just loved it. And I think more than anything else, not because of what he taught me lots of different things, but I watched him be a happy man and work until he was like literally 93. He was 93 years old when he died. So I watched my father, so I like to work.
When I was young, there was a man named William Levitt, Levittown, and he was a very successful man, became unbelievable. He was a home builder, became an unbelievable success, and got more and more successful. They'd clean the site, so when the workers came in the next morning, the sites would be spotless and clean, and he did it properly. And he did this for 20 years, and then he was offered a lot of money for his company. And he sold his company, and he went out and bought a big yacht, and he had a very interesting life. And the company that bought his company was a big conglomerate, and they didn't know anything about building homes, and they didn't know anything about picking up the nails and the sawdust and selling it and the scraps of wood. So they called William Levitt up, and they said, would you like to buy back your company? And he said, yes, I would. He bought back his company, and he bought back a lot of empty land, and he worked hard on getting it zoning, and he worked hard on starting to develop. And in the end, he failed, and he failed badly. And I saw him at a cocktail party, and I see sitting in the corner was a little old man who was all by himself. Nobody was talking to him. So I went over and talked to him. Mr. Levitt, how are you doing? He goes, not well at all. And I knew that, but he said, not well at all. And he explained what was happening and how bad it's been and how hard it's been. And he said, Donald, I lost my momentum. I lost my momentum. A word you never hear when you're talking about success. He lost his momentum, meaning he took this period of time off, long years, and then when he got back, he didn't have that same momentum. But the big thing, never quit, never give up, do something you love. When you do something that you love, you'll never fail. What you're going to do is give it a shot again and again and again. You're ultimately going to be successful. When you do something that you love, remember this, it's not work. So you'll work 24/7, you're going to work all the time, and at the end of a year, you're not really working. You don't think of it as work. Do something that you love, work hard, and never, ever give up, and you're going to be tremendously successful. Tremendously successful.
what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through. Times don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world, but keep the sky on your mind.